everyone. My name is Steve Kazurski, and I'm Senior Program Coordinator for UN Global Compact Network Canada. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our interview series with business leaders. As a network of responsible businesses and as the Canadian chapter of the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative, UN Global Compact, our role here is to inspire more businesses to adapt sustainable practices and contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals, which in short we call the SDGs. This interview series showcases outstanding actions that accelerate the global goals undertaken by our network members. Our objective here is to highlight ambitious actions implemented by leaders to fast forward the 2030 agenda through the implementation of the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact. Our mission is also to identify and recognize efforts from companies accelerating this integration of sustainability into their core business management. We are glad to feature Zhang from ETCH Sourcing as our business leader today. Jane is the co-founder and co-CEO of ETCH Sourcing. ETCH Sourcing has been an active participant of the Global Compact since 2020. So without further ado, let's welcome our guest today. Hello, Jane.
Hi, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. And it would be great if you could start us off by please sharing a little about ETCH Sourcing and your role within the organization.
Absolutely. So thank you for inviting us. It is my absolute pleasure to be joining you guys here today. This is a topic that is very near and dear to our hearts. So ETCH Sourcing is a strategic sourcing, category management, and procurement-focused consultancy that was founded over 6 years ago. We are completely Canada-based. We are diversity and women-owned, and I am one of the co-founders of ETCH Sourcing. We specialize in really providing practitioner-based services. So that's where we really create our differential. We hire our employees who are industry practitioners who specialize in employing strategic sourcing and procurement in a way that really benefits organizations and the environment that they operate within.
Amazing. Thank you. And what are the main drivers of sustainability ambition in your organization?
So at ETCH, we really see sustainability being the future of where procurement and sourcing is going. Within the strategic sourcing industry, the strategic sourcing practice was born out of 4 years ago when organizations started looking at total cost of ownership versus just pure cost reduction. That, as we know, has really kind of started to shift in the industry. Organizations, businesses are now being asked to look at not just the total cost of ownership of internally within their business, but also externally within the environment that they operate within. Businesses and organizations are now being held accountable for impacts of their line of business, of production, of their supply chains. And that for us is where the future of where procurement and sourcing is headed. And we really want to be a pivotal point and a driver of this movement within the industry. We are very, very passionate about what sustainability and sustainable procurement can really bring in terms of impact, both from a sustainable impact type perspective, but also from a business value increase perspective. We have seen a lot of success working with various organizations all across different industries to really implement projects, processes to help them drive for reductions, not just in their impact in the environment, but also in increasing their business value of their operations by looking at their existing spend from a creative lens with a little bit of a sustainability twist.
Great to hear about your passion for sustainability. And could you tell us about the Sustainable Procurement Database and how it's tracking progress?
Absolutely. So we built the Sustainable Procurement Database over 3 years ago, and this started as a passion project within ETCH, and it's something that we are continuing to invest resources in year after year. And what we really found as we continue to drive for leadership within this area is businesses are typically challenged by 3 fronts when they look at sustainable procurement. They usually cite 3 main reasons why they can't adapt it within their organization. It's usually, I don't have the resources. I have a lack of resources. My manpower is fairly limited, or I don't have the expertise. I don't know where to start. I don't know, what am I supposed to be measuring? How do I really look at solutions creatively? How do I really impact these types of areas and these types of specializations? And then the third thing is really, I don't really have time. I don't have time to really go out and search for some things. We're usually running behind the gun. We're getting caught up. A lot of the times people describe procurement and the industry as drinking from a fire hose, and that's what it feels like a lot of the time. So, organizations will say, I don't really have the time to plan for these initiatives, these sustainable procurement initiatives. I want to do it. I have a strong desire to do it and a strong desire to really integrate that into my business, but I don't really have the time to kind of figure out how I'm going to do it. And that's what we really wanted to address with the Sustainable Procurement Database. So it is a database and a collection of a various number of blueprints that we've gathered from projects that we have either done ourselves, thought leadership from the industry, projects that we've seen other organizations do and implement, best practices and standards. And we've built them all and standardized the format into a set of blueprints that any organizations can take and implement within their practice. So each of the ideas have really been categorized through two navigational paths, one really intended for sustainability experts, the other one really intended for practitioner experts in procurement. And the idea here is any organization can go in here, search for an idea that really resonates with them at any point in time, and take that blueprint and apply it in their organization. They can follow the steps from an end-to-end process from starting with how do you describe the idea of what you're trying to do, straight through to actually getting the contract in place, and how do you measure the true impact of what you've actually been able to accomplish with that idea.
For sure. And it's interesting that you've categorized and broke it down step by step for us. And the thought leadership piece is very important too. And that brings us to this next question, which is more about your organization's commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals. Could you tell us about perhaps the top one or two SDGs that ETCH sourcing is contributing towards for a better, more sustainable future?
Absolutely. And I'm going to sound a little bit greedy on this one here, Steve, because we really feel like all the SDGs are very important, are equally as important for our organization. What we're very passionate about within our practice is creating a framework where organizations can tackle the SDGs that make the most sense for them. So for example, you might have an oil and gas company that is now looking into impacting their scope 3 GHG emission reductions. And, they're looking for ideas within that space. And they now have a category of spend that can really impact that, whether that is, looking at their cement suppliers, whether that is looking at their operation suppliers. Those types of opportunities are where we really kind of map everything back to the UN SDGs. And for us, the UN SDGs are a universal target that everyone understands. And that was really important to us when we went about creating this database. We wanted to provide measures that were really kind of universally applicable for any industry, for any organization to be able to go back and measure to. You might have another organization that is operating in finance, and they're looking at a completely different set of spend. And they're looking at maybe it's office furniture, maybe it is data centers. And what they're able to impact in their spend areas might be different than what the oil and gas company is able to impact. And where we're really interested is helping organizations make the connections between their sustainability goals and how they spend their current money, and really build that bridge so that organizations as a part of doing business can drive for both positive impact from a business value standpoint, but also from a sustainability standpoint.
Right. And it's okay to be greedy when it comes to the SDGs because they need all the help they can get from every possible angle, of course. And
Absolutely.
That brings us, And our final question is about collaboration and partnerships, and more specifically, joining the UN Global Compact for this journey. What is your take on the UN on how the UN Global Compact is helping ETCH sourcing commit to its sustainability goals?
Absolutely. So the UN Global Compact Canada has been an amazing partner for us over the last couple of years. I think when we first started with this organization, we had an ambition to really expand our reach of the database. Part of the reason why we've made the Sustainable Procurement Database free, and we're committed to keeping it free and open for everybody, is because we understand that there's ideas that are going to come from all facets of different businesses, of different operations that others may not have thought of. And if we're all kind of committed to joining this journey together, that was really the beauty of what the UN Global Compact was able to bring. Just a network of connected businesses, connected organizations that shared in these ambitions, shared in these objectives, and are open to sharing what's really made them successful in these areas and having those ideas be transformed into blueprints. And that's really important for us for the next phase. It's really, we have over 50 plus entries right now in our database. We have this database designed to be very open And we are definitely looking to grow this database even further by leveraging UN Global Compact's various members and having people be able to share what's really worked and best practices in their organization so that others can just take that and implement it within their organizations. You don't have to think about, oh, how do I go about doing this? How do I go about addressing my spend in a more sustainable way? You now have the step-by-step breakdown, and now you can just take that and implement it within your organization and have a measurable effect afterwards.
Wonderful to hear. And the sharing step is very important as well. So thank you so much, Jane. And thanks for mentioning the Global Compact. I'd like to thank you again for your time today. I'm sure we'll hear more amazing news coming from ETCH sourcing soon. And with that, I'd like to conclude today's session. Thanks for attending the interview series. And I'd like to welcome everyone to stay tuned for more from Global Compact and ETCH sourcing in the near future. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.